Hi, and welcome to Old School Blues Guitar. It's time for our Classic Licks series of lessons for the months of July, August 2016. And I've had a lot of requests and a lot of interest in Magic Sam's playing. And a couple years ago I did a short Classic Licks lesson just on some of his more common licks and some of his stuff. And so now we're going to take a more comprehensive look. And I've spent some time studying his recordings, and hopefully I can share a lot of stuff with you that I've figured out or that I like to use. We're going to start out and do a lesson simply on the chords that Magic Sam used, because he used a lot of chords, few chords a lot of times, and so in a lot of his songs the same basic stuff. So I want to make sure we get that down before we move on. Then we'll take a look at his lead playing, or rhythm playing rather, and then we'll also look at his lead playing and some double stops, and then for the final lesson, just for some fun, I'm going to pick out a few of my favorite Magic Sam licks and go through those specific parts of solos from certain songs and things like that. So let's get started. With Magic Sam, there's a few chords, if you want to get into his style of playing, that you need to know. The basic chord, the one you use over and over again, is the 7th chord. Now, if we're playing in the key of A, so this would be our 1, which would be an A. It's the first position bar chord, just an A 7th or an A major. Now, when Magic Sam would play for the 4 and the 5, he often uses this 7th chord shape. Some blues guys will use the C7 shape. So we take the C7 and we move it here with my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 5th string, and that's a D7. But Magic Sam would use this chord, which I like to call a Magic Sam 7th. And so what it really is like a B7 shape move down, but to play it you move around a little bit. So let me show you what we're doing here. I'm using my first finger on the 3rd fret of the 2nd string. My pinky is on the 5th fret of the 1st string. And then my second finger is on the 4th fret of the 4th string, and my ring finger is on the 5th fret of the 3rd string. So if I pick from the 4th string down, that's what I get. Now, if you want to make the chord more full, you can wrap your thumb around and get the bass note on the 5th fret of the 5th string, which is your D. I play some Merle Travis style too, finger picking on electric and acoustic, and he does that. He'll use his thumb when he plays that chord. So that's a D. And then for an E, we just move it up a couple of frets. You'll hear a lot of Magic Sam songs where he goes to the 5 to the 4 like this. And then back to the 1. So that chord is really important. And that's one that you'll use over and over again. So the Magic Sam 7th, again, I've got a chart with the tabs that shows all the chords. In fact, I've got it with this lesson posted under the information part of the video. So that's the first chord we're going to learn. Now, he does use the C7th shape, and this is one you should learn. If you don't know this, make a C, first finger on the 1st fret of the 2nd string, second finger on the 2nd fret of the 4th string, ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 5th string, and then plop the pinky in on the 3rd fret of the 3rd string. And if you move that 2 frets up, it's a D7th, 2 more, E7th, and you can play it all over the place. Magic Sam has a couple songs. There's one song called You Belong to Me, he uses that, and he uses it here and there in some other places. So that is a D7th. The let's see what else we got here. First position 9th chord. Let's do the 9th chords. He does use these. So let's say we're playing an A. We'll use A as our reference. This is a basic electric blues chord that you should know, but if you don't, for Magic Sam's playing, you need this one. So for A, I'm going to start with my first finger on the 4th fret of the 5th string, my second finger on the 4th fret of the 3rd string, my ring finger on the 5th fret of the 4th string, and my pinky on the 5th fret of the 2nd string. So we're picking from the 5th string to the 2nd string. That's one you'll hear him use in a few songs, and you move that. So the way I find that chord is wherever the first position bar chord is, like for G. I just put it right above the root on the 6th string, so I know this is my G. And that tells me where to put my G9. That's not very musical, but that's just how I know where to put everything. So A, here's an A. There's the A9th. Going back to those Magic Sam 7th chords, the rule that I use for figuring out where to play those, here's my major chord in A, the 1. So when I go to the 4, it's going to be right below it. And then for the 5, it's going to be over that first position bar chord. Same 3 frets. So you should know, where you can play these chords in every key, or at least if you're doing Magic Sam stuff, any key that Magic Sam songs come in. So that's another one, the first position 9th. The second position 9th, he does use this sometimes, not directly like this, not like a T-Bone Walker or somebody like that. He typically, instead of playing that chord, is going to use that 7th. But this one is good to know. So if we're playing in A, we go to the 4, we're going to use the second position 9th chord as a D9. So my first finger is on the 4th fret of the 4th string. My second finger is on the root, which is the D, 5th fret of the 5th string. And my ring finger is going to flatten out over the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings of the 5th fret. So that's a D9th. We can move it down to C9th, up to the 7th fret, E9th, G9, F9. It all depends on this note on the 5th string, and that tells you what you're playing in. So there's another chord. Let's see. Minor chords. He does use some minor chords. In A, that's an A minor. A simple way to play it is with your first finger barring the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd strings at the 5th fret, and your ring finger on the A, which is at the 7th fret of the 4th string. And we just pick from the 4th on down. You could also play an A9th bar chord with the first finger barring the 5th fret, and then my pinky on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and my ring finger on the 7th fret of the 5th string. A little more full sound, or you could get the abbreviated version like that. So that one you just put over the first position bar chord. So if we're playing in G, G minor, G minor. If we're playing in D, there's the first position D bar chord, there's a minor, there's a minor, and so on. He also uses a second position minor chord. He does this in a couple songs where he plays it, he does play it as a solo. So if we're in A, and we go to the 4, we're going to do this. Again, you can play this abbreviated with just 3 fingers on the 5th fret of the 1st string, 6th fret of the 2nd string, 7th fret of the 3rd string. That's a D minor. Or we can use the bar. If we do the bar, we put the bar just like the 1 minor over the 5th fret. And then my second finger is going to be on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, and then my ring finger on the 7th fret of the 4th string, and my pinky on the 7th fret of the 3rd string. So that's a minor. Now we can move it. So if we go to E or the 5, he doesn't really do anything like that. When he goes to the 5 to the 4, you'll hear typically he uses the 7ths. But the minors, he will use sometimes. And just like the first position minor chord, the second position is movable. So if we're in D, we can play here. If we move it down here, we're in C, or we can play this. If we want to play an A, this one is kind of tough to play that bar. You can do it. So those A are those minor shapes. You can move those around and play those in a lot of different places. Another one, I'm just looking at some of the chords, is a sixth chord. And I'm going to go to A again. And for this one, just make an F shape. So if we're playing F, we move this with my first finger on the 5th fret, getting the 1st and 2nd strings. And then my second finger is on the 6th fret of the 3rd string. And my ring finger is on the A, 7th fret of the 4th string. And to make a 6, we're just going to take the pinky and put it on the 7th fret of the 2nd string. Now he uses that, there's one rhythm pattern I'm going to show you where he uses that chord. So that is a 6. You can move that around. So if this is a G major, here's a G6. F major, F6. And so on. Okay, we're getting close to the end here. Another one that's kind of handy that you'll use is a, use sometimes, it's kind of a different F chord, what I call a D-shaped F chord. There's a tune called All I Need, which is really a weird Magic Sam tune. It's more of a soul song. It doesn't sound like his blues stuff, but it's his first cut on the album West Side Soul. And here he's got an F. The song is an F, but he's not playing it here. He's playing it, actually the song's in C, but he plays the F like this. So instead of like that, right here, if you don't know this one, we're just taking a D chord and moving it to the 7th or the 5th fret. I've got my first finger on the 5th fret of the 3rd string, second finger on the 5th fret of the 1st string, my pinky is on the 6th fret of the 2nd string, or I'm sorry, my ring finger, 6th fret of the 2nd string, and then my pinky on the 7th fret of the 4th string. That's an F. He does this little chord pattern. We'll learn that. And just so you know, so if you don't know that one, that's one that Magic Sam used it. He may have only used it on that one tune, but it's in there. Another one that's good to know, in case you don't, is the A7 shape. He does use this occasionally. So my first finger barring the 2nd fret, 2nd, 3rd, 4th strings, and my ring finger on the 3rd fret of the 1st string, with an open 5th string as my bass. That one we can move as well. C, 7th, D 7th, and again, just pay attention to this time pay attention to the 2nd position bar chord. This is how I do it. So if that's a C, 2nd position bar chord, the 7th is going to be at the bottom of that, or at the top of that. Another thing you could do is look at the root and go up 2 frets. So if this is D major, D 7th, E major, E 7th. So we have a number of chords that you're going to use as you go through this lesson. And in the first real lesson coming up here, we're going to look at some of the different rhythm patterns in Magic Sam's songs, some of the rhythm guitar, and this is where we'll use most of the chords. So we've got the Magic Sam 7th shape, we've got C 7th shape, we got a first position A 9th, first position 9th, second position 9th, we've got a first position minor, second position minor, or we've got a, what did I forget? 6th chord. So here's A, A6, and that's about it. Also threw in this F, D-shaped F chord. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. And if you know all these chords already, you're ready to roll. You're ready to get going. And the next lesson, we're going to start off and take a look at some of Magic Sam's songs and some of the rhythm patterns that he used. See you soon.